Thank you, Chairman Tiffany, and I want to thank Chairman Westerman for convening today's hearing on this important legislative package, highlighting my bipartisan bill, the American Battlefield Protection Program Enhancement Act. As noted in my introduction, my district is home to numerous important battlefields in American history, including Fort Ticonderoga, but also Fort Anne and the Bennington Battlefield. As well, and I am also proud to serve as co-chair of the Bipartisan Battlefield Caucus. I like to consider New York's 21st District as the cradle of the American Revolution. I grew up going to these battlefields and historic sites across my district, including the fort, and I'm honored to lead this bipartisan legislation to ensure our many battlefields across the country are preserved. Protecting these battlefields is essential for creating rich educational programming for students and opening up this experience to tourists. The American Battlefield Protection Program provides critical support to our nation's battlefield and is one of the most successful land preservation programs managed by the National Park Service. Since its conception, the American Battlefield Protection Program has helped protect more than 100 battlefields in 42 states and protect battlefield lands at 110 battlefield sites in 19 states. With the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution approaching, streamlining this program and ensuring that it's effective and more efficient is more important than ever. This is why my legislation is so important, to make significant modifications to strengthen this program for years to come. It makes 4 small but critical modifications. First, it allows nonprofits and tribes to apply to the American Battlefield Protection Program directly instead of going through a state or local government. Secondly, it ensures that the grant funding can be used on priority battlefields in addition to land that has been preserved using funding. Additionally, the bill would clarify eligibility of Revolutionary War and War of 1812 sites for battlefield land acquisition grants. That is so important for a district like mine and New England in general. And lastly, this legislation creates a process for the National Park Service to modify existing core and study battlefield area boundaries to include new or updated findings. We're learning more and more history every single day. I urge my colleagues to support this important bipartisan bill. And my question is for Ms. Hill and Mr. Duncan. How would this legislation, and I know you touched on it broadly, but how would it impact both your work at the Trust, Mr. Duncan, but also the work you do leading the helm at Fort Ticonderoga, Ms. Hill? Beth, you go first.
Thank you, Congresswoman Stefanik. As I mentioned, Fort Ticonderoga is owned and operated by the Fort Ticonderoga Association, which is a nonprofit educational organization. So with this change, Fort Ticonderoga would be able to apply directly for grant fundings as properties become available surrounding the site. Ticonderoga, really the whole community is a historic landscape. And so as land opens up for sale, around Fort Ticonderoga and the potential of the acquisition, this would streamline the process, enable us to apply for the funding and then implement the acquisition to protect the land for forever. Thank you.
Mr. Duncan.
Thank you, Representative Stefanik. For us, the word of the day in battlefield land preservation is urgency. We are currently in competition with some of the best capitalized entities in the world, corporations in many cases with worldwide renown and, quite candidly, unlimited funds with which to approach landowners to purchase their property. So every day we can shave off of the process so that when we're dealing with a willing seller, and I want to make that very clear, we only deal with willing sellers. We pay fair market value for people's property. But every day we can shave off of that process makes it more likely we're going to be able to save that piece of battlefield ground. If we have to tell a landowner that, well, because of delays in getting a grant or just the long process, that we're not going to be able to buy your property for 6, 9, 12 months, it's going to be very, very difficult for them to turn away those offers that are coming at them from these other entities that are oftentimes offering far above market value. So being able to apply directly for us and save, in some instances, months of that time is huge, hugely important to our overall mission.
Well, thank you both for your testimony. Again, it's an honor to have you here, Beth, as a constituent and as the leader of Fort Ticonderoga Association. I urge my colleagues to support the bill. Thank you.